now time for another Poseidon Reacts. Today we are going to be reacting to every poison type Pokemon explained by Toxin and Noggin. Poison types are pretty cool. I don't think I gravitate towards them necessarily, but there's some pretty cool ones in there. I really like Solipede, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's see what's cooking.
You're all out of antidotes.
No.
Shouldn't have let that Survivor get the better of you.
No!
Now you're panicking.
No!
Better get that Vulpix to a Pokemon Center quick.
I know this feeling too well.
Poison type Pokemon. This type is one of the few types that is tiny, but when it comes down to it, the Venomous type is one of the better typings. Normally paired with grass or bug, this type has a good amount of moves that rely on damage over time rather than all at once. And with the introduction of fairy type, the poison type has skyrocketed up the ranks. But what now if I told you that most poison type Pokemon aren't actually poisonous? And what if I went further and explained what types of poison they use? Because
what? So you're saying there's some poison type Pokemon that aren't poisonous? You're gonna have to explain that one to me, buddy.
that's what today's video is all about.
Oh, hell yeah. Wait, this kind of rocks.
But first, a bonus fact brought to you by today's sponsor, Catalyst Mints. Did you know that caffeine is technically a poison? To bugs though, not humans. Plants produce
Oh, okay,
it,
thank God, because I consume way too much caffeine that I don't think a normal living being should be consuming, but
bugs eat their beans, they die from having too much energy. Then humans came along, took over the plant's breeding patterns to make caffeine even stronger. And now with Catalyst Mints and their newly released nootropic energy powders, you can get all of that energy without the guilt of energy drinks and fancy coffees. And that energy lasts a lot longer too. That's right, Catalyst has finally launched a line of energy powders and epic shaker bottles. From a delicious blue raspberry to a mouth-watering watermelon. And you can pre-order these energy powders, the link at the top of the description, and use the coupon code NOGGIN for a discount on top of the pre-order discount. Now let's get back to talking about people poisons. Poisons that affect people. And hey, just so you know, there will be a few gross images in this video. In case you are easily nauseated, there's nothing to it.
I am a little bit squeamish. Oh no!
Extreme though. So first off, let's cover that big claim. Not all of the poison type Pokemon are poisonous.
Okay.
They may all be toxic or carry toxins, but they are not inherently poisonous. So let's go over what makes them different. It all comes down to delivery. Being toxic just means that there is a biologically produced chemical that alters the normal function of another organism. Once a toxin gets into a victim, the toxin travels through the bloodstream and gets into places it shouldn't, like the heart or the brain. And let's not forget about all of the other vital organs that toxins can shut down. This is why urgent care and antidotes are so important. So, what are the main types of toxin? Poison and venom. In the case of Pokemon, many of them are poisonous, but many aren't poisonous at all, but venomous.
They're venomous.
Instead. Let's talk about the difference here. A poison is a toxin that you ingest or come into contact with. Pretty much any toxin that gets in.
I don't think I've seen this Jack Black movie. Can somebody in the comments tell me what this image is from? If that is Jack Black, that looks just like him, but I could be entirely wrong. Hey, you! Yeah, you! Did you know that less than 30% of my viewers are subscribed to my YouTube channel? So, please do yourself a favor and click subscribe to get some more Poseidon content, whether you enjoy my reacts, gameplay videos, or more. Also, please be sure to click that bell button in order to be notified every single time I upload. Now, back to your regular scheduled programming.
To your body or bloodstream somewhat indirectly, like licking a colorful dart frog. Better yet,
so
just touching them is
cute!
enough for our skin to absorb the dangerous amount of poison. Most animals that are poisonous use it as a defense mechanism.
That's one of my things. Those live in the ocean. Don't mess with them.
Unlike most venomous creatures,
I don't like that.
A poisonous creature is normally unable to control their poison, as it is most likely naturally secreted
Frog.
out of their skin or special glands on the animal's body. There are many frogs,
So
bugs,
cute!
and even some birds that are poisonous. A good rule
Okay, I had no idea there were birds that were poisonous.
In the real world, don't try and catch something you've never seen before. Shoot, even if you've seen a dart frog before, don't catch it. You dumb? But thankfully, most poisonous things won't go out of their way to attack you, like poison oak. It's a plant. Doesn't really go out of its way to strike you, but bump into it and you've got yourself a very uncomfortable rash. So the true definition of poisonous is something that delivers toxins without a direct delivery system. Now, venomous, that's a whole—
That jump scared me. I did not like that. That scared me.
whole other ballgame there. These guys bite, oftentimes literally.
My thing is, I like snakes too. Why did that scare me? I don't like scolopedes.
Venomous creature inflicts its toxins by injecting the toxins directly into a wound, often created by their own fangs or claws. A good rule of thumb for figuring out if something is poisonous or venomous is, did the creature bite you or did you bite it? If it bit you and you die, it's likely because it is venomous. And if you bite it and you die, chances are that it's poisonous. Now, if you bite it and it dies, does that make you venomous? Regardless, the true definition of venomous is something that delivers toxins with a delivery system directly.
Fair enough.
So now we know that the Pokemon type poison really just means toxic, or an animal that has toxins. Now, as always, to make things go a bit quicker and easier, I'm going to group up the Pokemon that are very similar. I'm looking at you, Ekans, Arbok, and Seviper. I feel like most of these Pokemon are pretty easy to explain, so I'm going to do a huge group of them, and any neat ones I'll point out. So here we go. We got snakes, Ekans, Arbok, and Seviper. Not all—
There's no way this man really pronounced it Ekans.
Snakes have a venomous bite, but plenty of them do, and some venomous snakes are actually able to dry strike, or bite without actually injecting any venom if they so choose. The king cobra, which Arbok is based on backwards, is one of the most venomous snakes in the world, and vipers, by definition, are venomous snakes. Most snake venoms classify as hemotoxins, meaning they affect the blood itself. Often it's a blood thickener, slowing down or even stopping the bloodstream.
I knew that, I think. Like, venom kind of makes your blood look like jelly, so it stops, like, running through your veins, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, I'm not an animal expert, but I do really like snakes.
Ew. And this is gross.
That is
Next
gross.
up, we have the insect or bug-like
I don't
Pokemon.
like bugs.
Poipole,
I have to
Naganadel,
look, but
Weedle, Kakuna,
I'm not
Beedrill,
really huge on
Venipede,
bugs.
Whirlipede, Scolipede, Skorupi, and Drapion. These Pokemon all have similar delivery methods of their venom.
I don't like
Stingers. Compared to snakes, these bugs generally have much stronger venom, albeit because they're tiny and get way less. Let's look at the Asian giant hornet for an example.
I've never been stung by, like, a bug before, so I'm, like, extra squeamish with bugs that have some sort of stinger. Fuck that! I don't like that!
Here, it's what Beedrill is based on.
No!
It's the deadliest
Why does it
there
look
is,
like
and there
that?
are plenty of cases of humans dying from a single sting. And this is all thanks to its deadly neurotoxin, which blocks the signals between your brain and nervous system, leading to paralysis and cardiac arrest. And as for scorpions, their venom often acts the same way. But there are also scorpions whose venom will cause hallucinations, or cause effects similar to Viagra. Before you die, of course. Don't go getting stung by scorpions.
I was about to say, is that real? Have people gotten themselves stung by scorpions just to, you know, get the little lingy, the little ding-a-ling up, you know what I'm saying?
Spinarak and Ariados are also bugs, but they use fangs instead of stingers. Though unlike many snakes, venomous spider bites will often cause
spiders, they're the
necrosis
worst.
or death of the
I don't
cells,
like
leaving big holes of rotten flesh within you.
Wait, what the fuck? It did that?
Tentacool and Tentacruel
I
are
love
cool dudes
jellyfish.
based off of
Jellyfish are my favorite sea animal.
box jellyfish, one of the world's most venomous creatures altogether.
But they're
Unlike
so cool
normal
looking.
stingers,
Look at that.
Jellyfish use a cell-like structure that has
You
millions
can thank me for that, by the way.
of stingers that actually detach and stay in your skin, constantly releasing toxins into your system.
That's
Often,
crazy.
jellyfish venom causes hyperkalemia, which raises your blood pressure far beyond what is safe, and causes your cardiovascular system to collapse. What really sucks is when you're stung by a jellyfish, you are often out in the ocean, so it's a race to see what kills you, the venom or the drowning. Up next are Pokemon that inflict their venom by biting or stabbing it into your system, similar to the way snakes attack. Really, they should be in the same category as the snakes, but I figured, snakes are so iconic they need their own category. Here we have Zubat, Golbat, Crobat, Mareanie, Toxapex, Croagunk, and Toxicroak.
Oh, look at the little guy. I was about to say, what is Mareanie based on? I should know this. I'm the god of the seas, but I don't know.
Interestingly, bats are not venomous at all. But if you stretch the definition of venomous, the vampire bat could be seen as venomous due to technicality. Its saliva has compounds in it that act as blood thinners, preventing bite wounds from clotting for an extended period of time. This is likely where the Zubat line gets its poison typing. Mareanie and Toxapex are based on the Crown of Thorns starfish. Though unlike that starfish, these Pokemon can shoot their spikes. This starfish, though, is a spiky nightmare of a starfish filled with saponin toxins, which causes a sharp pain that lasts for hours. Croagunk and Toxicroak are interesting. Being frogs, you would assume that they are poisonous, like many frogs are. But then Game Freak went and gave these guys sharp finger bits they used to stab the venom into their prey. Though
That's
interestingly,
crazy.
the Corythromantis greenigi frog actually was only recently found to have small venomous barbs on its head. It kinda headbutts stuff while kissing it with a cocktail of toxins. So it isn't
kinda
totally
romantic.
out there to have a
What
venomous
is that?
frog. Next are Pokemon that use quills or spines tipped with toxins, not to be confused with stingers. They are much more like barbs, normally not used as a way to attack, but more of a way to just dissuade predators from attacking them. This is still technically a type of delivery method, so they are in fact venomous. Also, Mareanie and Toxapex could also fit into this category. But here we have Nidoran, Nidorina, Nidorino, Nidoqueen, and Nidoking. These Pokemon have
Nido
backs
family.
covered in barbs and spikes, which cause wounds that inject venom into the attacker's bloodstream. By secreting a
is
toxic
that?
chemical and coating their spikes, they become similar in concept to the
Oh, the
rockfish. If you
rockfish.
attack its back, you'll get a venomous injection. Quillfish is based off of a pufferfish, which I've heard is to die for. Literally. I've heard of
Don't ask why I made this.
poisoning, but not of food venoming. I'm sorry, it's a bad joke. Unknown to many, the real-life pufferfish quills are tipped with toxins, so it's venomous to touch and poisonous to eat. A whole double whammy of fun. Roserade and Roselia have nasty rose thorns on their hands that are laced with toxins. They use these thorns to stab enemies and deliver these toxins, making their
I love
toxin
Roserade.
technically a venom. While most real rose thorns themselves aren't venomous or poisonous, many species of rose have a symbiotic relationship with the Sporothrix schenki on their horns, which is a fungus that causes sporotrichosis, or a really, really irritating, rotten
That's
rash.
kind of gross.
Ugh. Nihilego injects neurotoxins into the host it attaches to. That's the toxin that affects the brain and its functions, and it does so likely the same way jellyfish do, through very, very tiny barbs on its danglies. And with that, we are done with the venomous Pokemon. And next up are the
have
poisonous
poison.
Pokemon. You know, like the type suggests. So these upcoming Pokemon are either toxic by just touch, like poison ivy or dart frogs, or are poisonous if you eat them. Why you're eating them, I'll never know.
I wouldn't
or
know
poisonous
either.
gases that you could accidentally breathe in. Though I guess eating something pretty much is just touching something a lot and internally. So there's that. First up, we have the Bulbasaur line.
My
These weird
beloved!
cabbages are actually in
love
fact on the back
Bulbasaur,
of
one
a
of my
toad or
favorite
frog-like
starters.
dinosaur creature. And interestingly, one of the most common types of animal that is poisonous is the frog. So it could be either the frog or the plant part secreting poisonous powders or liquids all over itself. And then there's Grimer. Pure pollution.
Ugh.
Remember back in the 90s when every cartoon was about pollution and pollution was just kind of purple-black goo that ran amok? Ha!
Yeah.
Well, that's what we've got here. Good old toxic pollution sludge. So these two Pokemon are full of dirty sewage bacteria and polluted chemicals.
That's
So much of them
disgusting.
that it's dangerous to touch. And as for their Alolan forms, they are both just Technicolor pollution. No, really, just take a Grimer or a Muck and add in a mixture of motor oil and solid trash. And there you go, Alolan Muck. Oddish is a little odd. It's based on the
Little
mandrake
baby.
plant, a highly poisonous plant that was used in many medieval era poisons and potions. They cause
all sorts of hallucinations.
Gloom and Vileplume are a little different though, and I feel like they should be in a category of their own. There are so many Pokemon that share a trait of releasing poisonous gases or powders. In fact, I am gonna make that a category. Well then, next up are Pokemon that do just that, and we will start off with Gloom and Vileplume. They are based off of the Rafflesia arnoldi, a terrible smelling plant that only 1 in 1,000 people actually enjoy the smell of. This plant is said to smell like the rotting carcass of a dead animal. However, this plant is not the corpse flower. That is another plant.
It's kind of gross. I don't want to be smelling the rotting corpse of a dead animal. How is that even possible? How does a plant smell like that?
I.e., kind of like Victory Bell. The putrid stench of these flowers is used to attract flies and such to pollinate the plant. These Pokemon are likely made poison type based on the terrible smell and gas released by the plant, and they were even given a toxic pollen to reflect that. Fungus and Amoonguss are both mushroom Pokemon. They release clouds.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Please don't click off the video.
Clouds of poisonous spores when threatened, and much like real poisonous mushrooms, they are poisonous to ingest or to breathe in the spores from. Mushroom spores are pretty much their way of reproducing. If the spores happen to land on something that it could make a home of, then the fungus will start to grow. If this happens to be inside of your lungs, then yeah, the fungus will start to grow. Coughing and wheezing are floating balls of air pollution. They love to mix toxic gas with garbage and create a poisonous gas, and this gas also helps it float. Poison gas works the same way secreted poison does, except you breathe it in instead of touching it with your skin. I mean, obviously. So think nerve gas. You breathe it in and you fall over paralyzed and in extreme seizure pain until you die. Yay! Though I doubt coughing and wheezing are that bad though. Gulpin is modeled after a stomach? Maybe a gallbladder?
I don't know what that is.
This guy releases vile and disgusting gas as it digests. Although it may not be directly toxic, as the gas is said to interfere with normal breathing as it's so gross. Imagine just suffocating because something smells that bad. You'd rather die than breathe it in. Swalot, though, is said to have poisonous stomach acid that it burps up onto foes. Gross. Trubbish and Garbodor are living garbage bags made from...
It's one of my favorites. I absolutely love Trubbish and Garbodor. They're so cool.
Special conditions that happened to give it life. This guy reeks of the bad stuff. Also, apparently they are quite burpy, as these little guys can knock out an adult and keep them bedridden for a week just by smelling a burp. Gross. And as such, they can and do spew poisonous gases. Bellsprout, Weepinbell, and Victory Bell seem to have a thing for eating people's heads, especially tasty blue-haired heads of comedic relief characters. Like many plants, they are poisonous to eat, and also have poisonous digestive acid deep inside their bells, and their powdery pollen is poisonous as well. Stunky and Skunktank really stink, and try not to breathe any in because its gas is a powerful toxic gas that can be smelt over a mile away and lasts for 24 hours. God, I would hate if my Houndoom got sprayed. There is no amount of tomato paste in the world for that smell. Badoo, unlike its evolved forms, just releases...
I hate Badoo. The TCG players know. They know exactly what I'm talking about.
Toxic spores, although at most Badoo could only cause some mild sneezing or a runny nose. It's just so cute. Venonat, Venomoth, and Dustox are all very similar to each other. These moth Pokemon shake their wings as they fly, releasing a multitude of different powders from their body, some of which can poison you on contact and others paralyze you. These Pokemon are definitely ones you want to stay upwind from. Typically, moths and butterflies
I don't like that.
Eat them, but
I
some
don't like
moths
that.
can spread
I don't
disease
like
because
that.
of what they land
You know,
on.
you guys remember that one scene in SpongeBob where everybody was getting chased by the butterfly? Yeah, I was one of those people that was really, really horrified of that scene.
They get all dirty and then land in something and leave behind their dirty dust. No
I
good
don't
for
like
people with
it.
allergies. Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar are more than just ghosts. They are poisonous ghosts. Now, Ghastly is pretty easy to pick out why he's poisonous. You see, they are 95% poison gas and 5% ghost, so a ghost just happened to find some poison gas
Why would somebody want to possess some poisonous gas?
and possessed it. In fact, this gas is so potent, they are able to cause an Indian elephant to go unconscious in just 2 seconds. Like, that is so fast! I don't even think anyone's body can process poison fast enough to do that. That is ridiculous. You have to breathe it in, it has to go through your lungs and then into your bloodstream, and then the bloodstream has to be potently filled enough with it, and then that has to reach your brain. Ugh. 2 seconds is ridiculous. Normally it takes like a minute. So I guess it could be that it could go straight to your brain because of Ghastly's ghostly bit. It just floats through your head, bringing the toxin with it. Yeah, that must be it. There's no logical explanation otherwise. As for Haunter and Gengar, they both have gaseous traits left over from Ghastly. Haunter is actually still made up of gas, and loves to lick people with its gasless, deadly tongue. And Gengar can disappear into a shadow as if it were dissolving into gas, so both of them are capable of becoming poisonous gas at will. Skrelp gets bullied quite a bit due to its size, so it will release a thick cloud of poisonous spit in an attempt at scaring the attackers away, much like the ink of a squid, except toxic. Dragalge, though. Ooh, now this dude, this guy's poisonous spit is so acidic it can erode the hull of tankers. In fact, this isn't that far off from real seahorses.
It's a seahorse!
Not the tanker part, the poisonous bit. There are plenty of species of seahorses that use poison to ward off predators, and they need it. Have you ever seen a seahorse try to swim away from something? They are just the worst at it. And lastly, Salandit and Salazzle are special. These two are able to poison the...
Why Salazzle look like that? Why is she kind of curvy?
Otherwise immune to poison, Steel-type Pokemon. These small lizards release a poisonous gas from the base of their tail. This gas is quite fragrant and can cause dizziness in humans. Some have figured out how to turn it into a perfume. This gas is quite stronger once it evolves into a Salazzle, though, with the ability to almost mind control the males of the species.
That's crazy.
So clearly it is a slight neurotoxin. But in the case of poisoning steel types, it must be due to their corrosion ability. Their poisonous gas is corrosive to metal, which does not come as a huge surprise. There is a huge list of poisonous gases that can corrode metal over time. And that's that. Man, when you really think about it, real-world poisonous and venomous animals are the closest things we have to Pokemon, and they are scary. And
I don't
now
like
more
that.
than ever, I want a platypus Pokemon.
What's a platypus?
As if they weren't strange enough, they also have venomous barbs on their back legs. Like, what the heck? Why isn't a platypus a Pokemon? There better be a water starter that's a platypus that eventually...
In 2025, I don't think we have one just yet. Actually, let me Google that really quick. I guess Psyduck is a platypus? Or kind of a platypus? I don't know. Would we count Psyduck? But up until 2025, we still don't have a platypus poison Pokemon. That would be so cool.
Actually becomes water poison type. That just has to happen. So, what is your favorite poison type Pokemon? And until next time,
And
never
Scolipede and Trubbish for me. And Garbodor.
stop using your noggin.
Oh! That's pretty sad! I thoroughly enjoyed that video. I felt like I was very educated on poison types. It's not my specialty, but it was cool to kind of see what Pokemon was based on what, and kind of how the definition of poisonous versus venomous. Well, anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. What are your thoughts? What is your favorite poison Pokemon? Anyways, guys, I will see you all later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.